Hey guys, OGL Biden here, bringing you guys my APA Little Cup Wi-Fi Week 3 battle. Yeah, Week 3 battle against MattOshea and his Montreal Milotics. We started off the season 2-0, sorry, so far. We're on a pretty hot streak, but I believe Matt is 2-0 as well. We've played him a couple times in the Little Cup format in the APA Little Cup Showdown League. Believe we're 1-1 against him. He definitely knows what he's doing in the tier, so we definitely have a good game against us right here, for sure. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right into team matchup. Our team, if you did forget, consists of the Abra, Scraggy, Honedge, Seal, Swinub, Bonsley, Magby, Flabebe, Teddy Ursa, and P-Dove. While Matt's team consists of the Drifloon, Anorith, what is that? Riolu. Can't read, it's too small on my screen. Electrike, Alolan Diglett, Wooper, Alolan Grimer, Seawaddle, Spoink, and Buneary. So right off the bat, biggest threats to my team, I'm terrified of the Drifloon. That one's banned in standard Little Cup, the standard tier for a reason. Very, very good, especially if it gets Unburden boost against me. It's pretty terrifying in all honesty. Another mon I'm very, very scared of is the Riolu. We have a pretty decent check on our team in the Honedge, but it still does get Earthquake, and after just a tiny bit of chip, +2 Earthquake can definitely kill us, and, having Prankster with Copycat and being able to just, bypass our fast stuff is pretty scary. It can honestly put in a ton of work versus us if we do let it set up. And other than that, the Buneary is also very scary. My team doesn't appreciate the priority. Again, we have our Honedge, but I don't want that being chipped because that is going to be our main Riolu chip, as we'll see in a second. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the first mon, which is going to be our Abra right here, rocking out the Life Orb, Magic Guard ability, Psychic, Hidden Power, Ground, Protect, and Shadow Ball, 72 HP, 240 special attack, and 196 speed with Timid Nature. I believe this outspeeds everything on his team. Barring maybe the Buneary. I forget if Buneary also hits 19 or 20, but I think it only hits 18. I could be completely wrong, but I know I sped crap and outsped everything that I possibly could. I think it's just the Diglett and the Buneary that can outspeed us. I'm rocking out with the Protect for fake outs from the Buneary itself, just so we can avoid that priority, and if we're at a healthy enough if we're high enough health, we can actually live a hit from that thing. And Psychic, Hidden Power, Ground, Shadow Ball hits his entire team, basically. I wanted something super effective for the Drifloon, because if it was a very, very bulky Drifloon, it actually had a chance to live a Psychic, and I want to make sure I for sure knock that thing out, and I don't proc its Berry Juice or something like that. Hidden Power Ground is for the obvious Alolan Grimer, which is definitely an amazing check to Abra, but I ended up going with the Life Orb this week opposed to the Focus Sash, because Life Orb Hidden Power Ground can actually 2-hit KO it on the switch if it wants to switch in on us, which is great. Even, max Spadef Eviolite, we can 2-hit KO with Hidden Power Ground. Like I said, protects for his priority, even scouting for Scarfers, stuff like that, and Shadow Ball is for that Drifloon. Next up, we have our Bonsley, very reliable rocker this week, rocking out with the Berry Juice and Sturdy ability, Stealth Rock, Protect, Rock Slide, Stomping Tantrum, 36 attack, 236 defense, and 236 Spadef with an Impish Nature. So the Protect is for the Buneary as well, just to scout for the fake outs. We don't have our Sturdy popped, and we can still, have our Sturdy Juice activated potentially. And then Stealth Rock, obviously, to get up our Stealth Rock versus team. The chip is very nice, residually on stuff like the Drifloon, stuff like the, the Anorith, other mons to potentially break sashes and stuff like that. It is, just very nice to get them up in general against his team. And then Rock Slide and Stomping Tantrum hit basically everything on his team for neutral or super effective damage. There's a couple things that can definitely switch into this Bonsley and not really care, but at least we hit everything neutrally and we can do a little bit of damage or something. But yeah, that's going to be our Bonsley this week. Next up, we're rocking out with our Magby once again. Berry Juice, Flame Body, Belly Drum, Hidden Power Grass, Fire Punch, and Mach Punch. 76 HP, 156 attack, and 252 speed with a Jolly Nature. So Magby is an amazing win con this week. We only have one thing really in its way, which is going to be the Wooper, which is why we're packing the Hidden Power Grass, actually. If we have that thing around 50%, around half, even with the Eviolite, and if it's Spadef, we can actually knock it out with the Hidden Power Grass, even with a minus special attack nature. And if we nack off the Eviolite with, another mon on our team, which we'll get to a little bit later, I'm sure you can guess which one has knockoff. But Hidden Power Grass has a chance to KO after just a tiny bit of chip, which is great. And then Fire Punch plus Mach Punch hits everything else. Everything that outspeeds us when we're belly drummed up, we can KO with a +6 Mach Punch, being the Baneri and the Alolan Diglett. The rest of his team, unless they're Scarfed, we can outspeed them and hit them with a +6 Fire Punch and knock them out pretty easily, which is very, very nice. So this is definitely going to be our win con going into this game. It matches up very, very well versus his team. Alright, and next up, we have our Swinub. We're rocking out with a Choice Scarf Swinub this week. Thick Fat Ability, Earthquake, Ice Shard, Icicle Spear, and Freeze Dry. 116 HP, 196 attack, and 196 speed with an Adamant Nature. So Swinub's dual stabs actually just kind of dismantle our opponent. It does in most matchups. Just Ice plus Ground is amazing stab coverage, just to hit everything in the air that doesn't want to be hit with an Earthquake, with an Ice Shard or an Icicle Spear is great. Going with Icicle Spear over Crash, because little cup rolls are weird, and potentially getting 3, 4, 5 hits is great when the rolls are so varied, and one hit can do 20% more damage than the one before or something like that, which is super advantageous. And sometimes it also helps us break sashes, so that or if we come in on a sub Drifloon, we can hit it with an Icicle Spear and break its sub, and then hit it potentially a couple more times and knock it out if it's at like 75% or something like that. Ice Shard for priority for the Drifloon. If it has its Unburdened proc and we have it within range, we can hit with an Ice Shard and potentially knock it out. And then Freeze Dry is just a cool way to hit the I didn't really need a 4th move. We already have a Rocker in our Bonsly, so I figured Freeze Dry would be a cool tech move to have for the Wooper, because we can actually pretty much always knock that thing out with a little bit of chip. And especially if we knock off its Eviolite, I think it's a guaranteed Oko. So I figured that was a good way to do as much damage as possible to that, because if he's Fizz Def, he can actually kind of eat up our hits pretty well. So if we can hit that with the Freeze Dry, being 4 times super effective and all that stuff, that would be obviously super, super nice in this situation. But yeah, that's going to be our Swinub. Next up, we have our Honedge with the Eviolite No Guard abilities, Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak, Iron Head, and Shadow Claw. 236 HP, 196 defense, and 60 Spadef with an Impish Nature. This is, like I said, is going to be our Riolu. He needs like a max roll to hit KO us with Earthquake. I believe it's literally the max roll if he's max attack to knock us out with that Earthquake. At +2, again, he would need a max roll, but this is assuming we're completely at full, which is pretty scary, because like I said, the Riolu is very, very good versus us in general, and if this takes any chip at all, which isn't unlikely, because he does, like I said, have things like the, what else would we switch into with this? I was just thinking about it. Potentially the Anorith, or the Baneri. The Baneri, that's the one. I could definitely see us being forced in a situation where we need to switch our Honedge on that, and if we take any chip, +2 Earthquake kills us, which definitely sucks. But this is going to be our countermeasure for it. Swords Dance, just if we can actually eliminate the Alolan Grimer, Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak is pretty viable in the late game, because we can just hit the Baneri with an Iron Head, and it's not doing too much back to us as long as we're decently healthy and stuff like that. So if we can chip things down and get rid of the Grimer, there's actually a pretty decent win con in itself. But yeah, lastly, we have our Scraggy right here, rocking out with the Eviolite as well. Shed Skin ability, Taunt, Knockoff, Dragon Dance, and Drain Punch. 36 HP, 76 attack, 116 defense, 36 Spadef, and 212 speed with an Adamant Nature. So this Scraggy is likely going to be our lead if I do see the Sewaddle, because our only remove on this team is going to be our Pidove, and I think Pidove is a horrible Pokemon, and I think in particular it matches up pretty bad here. So I didn't want to waste a team slot on Pidove just to get away the webs that potentially may or may not come. I think they'll come just because of how bad my removal is. So I wanted to have something to counteract that, so I have a Taunt lead Scraggy just to, taunt that Sewaddle, outspeed it, and keep those rocks away, which is great. And then Dragon Dance, Knockoff, Drain Punch. Dragon Dance Scraggy is also really, really good in this game, in all honesty. If we can bait in that Wooper, which is another decent response to this, and knock it off, that's great. Shed Skin, in case we want to use this as like a Drifloon switch-in. If you Will-O-Wisp us, we can, potentially get rid of that that burn, which, would obviously be very, very advantageous. And yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the battle. Alright guys, here we are with the battle. So looking at the team that Matt elected to bring, looks like he went with this Sewaddle, Alolan Grimer, Wooper, Anorith, Drifloon, and the Baneri. So right off the bat, first thing I noticed is no Riolu, which is great. Because like I said, we didn't really handle it that well. I mean, we had our Honedge, but it does get chipped down throughout the game, and if it gets a late game Swords Dance up, it's basically GG, which is unfortunate. So I did want to, This does free up a lot of room for our Hone Edge to check like stuff like the Baneri or potentially revenge the Drifloon with a Shadow Sneak or something like that, which is great. And then second thing I noticed is that he did elect to bring the Sawaddle. So that does make it pretty clear I have to leave my Scraggy again. I don't have any way of getting rid of those webs, and it's very important that they don't go up versus my team. It's going to be really, really tough to win this game. So I do kind of have to lead off with my Scraggy, you know, hoping that, you know, he either doesn't lead with it or, you know, as he obviously does, is it's likely a Focus Sash lead when I see it coming out first. It could be a Violite, but I don't think it really has a lot of defensive utility versus my team in general. So I am just going to throw off a taunt right here as we do outspeed, and he does end up going for the Sticky Web, which is great. So we are able to prevent those 4 now. As I'm going to go straight for a knockoff just to see which item he was holding, as we do end up getting a crit, and we knock off the Focus Sash right there. Crit wasn't a huge deal because I believe we would have 2-hit KO'd anyways. Potentially? No, I don't know actually. It could have mattered, so don't take my word for that. As he goes for the C-Bomb right there, just getting a little bit of chip. As right here, I believe I end up going for the Dragon Dance. Seeing that doesn't 2-hit KO me, I can use this to kind of bait in the Wooper later in the game. As he pulls a switch out into his Anorith, as I believe I just go straight for the knockoff, as this should knock out pretty much any Anorith unless he's like super bulky, like max Fizz Def Eviolite, which I didn't expect, as we do end up knocking it out with the knockoff, so we were able to get ahead. As we see, it was Berry Juice. As right here, this does force him into the Wooper, which is what I wanted out of this situation, so they can knock off this Wooper's Eviolite, making it much better easier for my team to break. Obviously, it's probably unaware in this matchup. I don't really see a need for Water Absorb versus my team. As right here is going to go for the Yawn, and this is going to force me out, unfortunately. I don't want my Scraggy asleep. It's still a very good Mon in this matchup in general. As I'm going to go out into my Aber right here, as he goes for the Recover just to get back up to full. And I believe right here, I'm going to overplay a tiny bit, and I'm going to go for a Hidden Power Ground. Oh, no, I double out. Sorry, just kidding. That's a little bit later. I'm going to double out, expecting him to want to go into his Alolan Grimer right here. Just to, you know, check my Abra and stuff like that, you know, potentially Pursuit It, Shadow Sneak or something like that. As he ends up going into the Drifloon right here, I see no reason to not go for an Icicle Spear. I can pop this thing's Berry Juice potentially, and, you know, see what it wants to go for. As we see, we do pop Berry Juice after 2 hits. It's looking like we could potentially knock it out with 5 hits if we got a really high roll on one of our things, or potentially crit one of them. As right here, we are going to throw off another one that's 3 hits. 4 hits, and we're really close. We get the 5th hit, and we actually get like a max roll on the 5th hit, which sucks for our opponent. I mean, rolls are rolls. There's reason for them, and we got 5 hits, so we did get a bit lucky there, but that's a huge threat out of our way, which is again really nice for us in this instance. As right here, he's gonna go out into his Wooper. I'm gonna pull the switch out. I can't OHKO this thing with Icicle Spear, even without the Evigola. I'm gonna go right back out into my Aber right here, as he ends up going for the Scald. And especially now, being that he went for the Scald and he has, you know, damage us, we're in range of Shadow Sneak probably. So I'm going to go for the Hidden Power, expecting him to want to go into that. But I did overplay a little bit, as we do get a little bit of chip on this Wooper, but our Abra is going to go down, unfortunately, to this Earthquake right here. So Abra finally touched the field, but again, it still hasn't picked up its first kill, but the rest of the team's still picking up its slack for it. As right here, I'm going to go into my Swinub, and at this point, if I can kill this Wooper, I win the game with Belly Drum. Magby at this point. So I'm going to just go for the Freeze Dry, as it ends up coming up clutch, and we end up knocking out the Wooper, which is again great because that opens up a huge door for our Belly Drum Magby. As right here, he's going to pull the switch out. He's going to go into his Alolan Grimer. I'm going to pull the switch out, as I am Scarfed in, as he obviously knows at this point, being that I outsped his Drifloon earlier. I'm going to go right out into my Scraggy right here, and I'm going to take the knockoff pretty well. Obviously that is 4 times resisted, and I was holding the Eviolite at that time. And right here I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance. Now, I didn't really have a reason to go for this Dragon Dance. Without my Eviolite, I am 2-hit KO'd from this range, and all I really need to do is knock off the Eviolite of this thing to kind of secure a win for us at this point. That's right here, you're going to see Poison Jab is going to 2-hit KO, and I'm just going to knock off right here. Again, there was no reason for me to set up that first Dragon Dance. I would have gotten more chip on this thing if I went for a knockoff into a Drain Punch, but you live and you learn. It's not too big of a deal, as it would have, you know, knocked us out eventually. As down goes our Scraggy, and we just, at this point, have to go into our Magby, and we can set up a pretty free Belly Drum, and as we lose our item, his knockoff won't do enough to knock us out, and we can pretty much win the game as long as we stay out of range of a fake out from the Baneri. And even then, I don't think he has enough sacks to win this game, even with, you know, cycling between fake outs between Baneri and the Sewaddle. As he's going to go for the knockoff, and we're going to see that does not do enough. And we actually get the flame body burn on the Grimer right here, which doesn't end up mattering, I don't believe, because we're going to see he either didn't have Shadow Sneak or he just didn't go for it at this point, as we are able to knock that thing out with the Fire Punch with our Magby. So that's another kill for Magby. Magby putting in the most work this season. I'm honestly, from using this, I'm kind of thinking it's a little too good for the tier 2. Just the, you know, the pretty good coverage that it gets, and the ability to go mix, and then having Belly Drum plus Mach Punch and being so fast already in itself. It's a really solid mod. I could definitely see it in tier 1. As he's going to fake out, and he's not even going to elect to cycle around to try and save differential, as we are going to Mach Punch and knock out the Baneri right here. And last mon left is going to be that Sewaddle, which we definitely outspeed, and we can just throw off a, you know, +6 Fire Punch, which probably did enough to kill about 50 Sewaddles right there. So right here, we are going to win the game, which is great. We take out Matt and improve our records to 3-0, which is a phenomenal start. Like I said, Abra hasn't been putting in too much work, but the rest of the team has definitely picked up its slack, especially the Magby and the Swinub. Throughout my first 3 games, they've definitely been the MVP so far. So, yeah, great win for us this week. Hopefully, we can keep it up next week as we take on Tony and his Austin. I think he's using the Austin A-Pawns for this league, being there's a little cup and stuff like that. But he has a very threatening team. But I think we can. I think we have a team that can, you know, potentially keep our streak going and, you know, keep us playing well and all that stuff. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.